I'm Jack Backhouse, PGA Pro and host of NCG Your Golf, and today I'm back with a brand new set of Ping irons. I'm going to give you the full tech breakdown, give them a hit and let you know how good they are and if they're the right fit for your game. Right, let's get into it. So this is my first hit with the new Ping. I've been quite looking forward to hitting these because I didn't actually use the i240s, and this is probably the most popular iron that Ping do, certainly in that player's distance category. So, I mean, straight away, looking at the club, I'm thinking it's quite a thick sole. Obviously, that's to help my sort of ground interaction. And behind the ball, it's quite a confidence-inspiring top line. It's not like a frightening club to look down on, but it definitely looks like a Ping, and anyone knows what a Ping looks like will understand that comment. I do really like on these irons the white bottom groove. I think it just helps golfers get the ball set up out in the middle of the face quite well, because when I'm teaching people day to day, you do generally see people just aren't very good at lining the ball up out the middle of the face. But let's hit this shot and see how it goes. Ping have definitely managed to send me these in my spec, which is very kind, and I've got all the even clubs. So we're about 150 from the flag. I have a 8 iron, so this might go a little bit long, but I just want to get a feel for the flight, the feel off the face, and just see how hot it is. We're going to collect some data later, so stick around to the end so that you can see how far they go. Right, how good does Fulford look, by the way? Didn't quite get all of that, but it's pretty much straight at it. Nice. Quite a forgiving club, definitely. That was like a low heel strike, probably around here somewhere. And the ball still got up in the air, still went very straight, so I'm pleased about that. Obviously with Pings, what we do have is that familiar sort of tungsten screw in the toe to move that centre of gravity away from the heel more to the centre. So what we've got different on this club, which is new from the i240, is a slightly lighter back badge, which just means we've been able to redistribute the weight for more MOI, more forgiveness. Right, let's hit another. Oh yeah, like the way that feels. Maybe a slight left. It's good. I'll tell you what, it sounds really, really good. Like, it sounds like a proper iron. It doesn't sound like something sort of game improvement-y. Now this club sort of goes directly up against the P770, P790. It's a player's distance club, but I like that this isn't hollow. Sometimes I feel like in these hollow-headed irons, they can just become a little bit too hot, a little bit too low spin, but this isn't. It does have a tungsten weight in the bottom, and we do see a new groove pattern on these clubs. The grooves are sort of wider spaced apart, which just means more consistent spin from the fairway and from the semi-rough, which all is good news for me. Right, let's hit one more, then we'll move back, hit a longer club. Completely knifed it, but still going the right distance. Let's go hit some longer clubs. So we're on 6 iron now, and what we've got in these heads is a new elastomer insert, which sits deeper than we've had in the previous irons. And what that means is higher launching, especially in the longer irons, which is something we all need. When I'm teaching golfers day to day, what you generally see is players hit their sort of 6, 5 and 4 all the same distance, and that's just because they can't get the right launch out of those clubs. Now what Ping are trying to do is give those golfers a bit more life in the longer irons, so any help we can get is greatly appreciated. Now we're starting to see, I think I'm looking at quite a forgiving club here. Again, the top line, it's not like super thick, but I'm sort of thinking I can hit this off centre and it's going to perform okay. And there's just something about the balance of this club which feels right to me. It's quite hard to explain that to you over video, but as I sort of like waggle the club around and do some practice swings, it doesn't feel like stiff and heavy. It feels like workable, which is really, really good. So 6 iron, let's see if I can strike a couple. Didn't mind that. Bit of a fade, just missed the green. I'm stood about 185 away from the flag here, so dispersion's going to be off compared to the short iron, but that felt really good. Slightly low strike. It's so dry here now the lies on the fairways and the surrounds are so tight, it's a real test of ball striking. So it's a good test for the pings. Oh, yeah. Tell you what, it's up in the air, that, isn't it? So I, as a golfer, generally need the help getting the ball up in the air, certainly in the longer clubs. So I'm really liking how high that launch is. And it does, you know, Ping don't do forged heads like Mizuno do, like Srixon do, but what they're able to sort of provide is the same sort of feel. Like, I don't feel like you hit this shot and it feels really firm and hot like you do on some other sort of cast clubs. It still comes off soft and you know it's spinning, and it still feels like a player's club, even though it does have some help. Oh yeah. Just do that. Like perfect, absolutely perfect. I really like that. I think Ping have done quite a nice job here. Like I say, I think this sort of sits in their lineup really nicely. So this just sits in between the Blueprint S, which is like the most popular club that Ping do, certainly for tour players, and then in between the G440, which is obviously like a game improvement club. It looks great behind the ball, but also has that little bit of help, just so that you could maybe blend a set. You could have like Blueprint S in the short irons, maybe a couple of these in your longer clubs, just to get that added launch, added carry, if you're a player that prefers to have irons instead of hybrids. Right, we're on to 4 irons now, which is a club that generally gives people a bit of trouble. Now, just before we hit some of these, it's worth saying, because you didn't see it, but on the last hole when I was hitting 6 irons, the difference between that perfect last shot I hit and the first couple that maybe weren't quite so good was only about 3 yards. So when we're talking about downrange dispersion, which is obviously a really important thing when it comes to irons, the off-centre versus perfect, they're all very similar, so I'm really, really excited about that. So we're going to hit some 4 irons now. Now, this looks quite strong, lofted. I can almost just see the back of it, and I feel like it's going to go quite a long way, but hopefully we're still going to maintain that trajectory, because this obviously is a club I'm going to use hitting into a green, so I do need it to stop. But behind the ball again, it looks like a Ping. We're starting to see a little bit of offset, so we are starting to see the help that Ping are building in for the average golfer. Good strike. That was a good hit. It's gone a long way, that one. There's something about the offset on this club just makes me feel a little bit like I'm going to fat it left. I think behind the ball, I don't feel like I'm going to be able to sort of get into the ground very much. Maybe that's the sole width, and the offset is just going to help me sort of send it a little bit further left, which isn't really help I need. But that ball has gone quite a long way, I feel, and I'm not, I sort of wouldn't want that back. And actually I can appreciate that for the average player. You know, those things are pretty helpful, so I'm not complaining. Yeah, didn't quite get all of it, but generally I'm pretty happy with that. Now, the 4 iron isn't for everybody, and I can sort of appreciate that, and Ping know that too. So what they've done this year, and they've brought this out alongside the i240, is they've brought out a new driving iron. What we have is the new Ping IDI in the 4 iron as well, just to hit as a direct comparison to the i240 driving iron, just to sort of show you that if you can't quite get those long irons going like you wish, Ping do a great alternative in a sort of longer iron that isn't a hybrid, that is going to help you keep some irons in the bag. So this club is obviously significantly thicker than the i240. It's got a big sole, it's obviously a hollow head, and it's very different to their sort of the previous driving iron they had. So it's definitely thicker, and it's a little bit shorter heel to toe, so it does sort of sit very differently to the previous one. So I can see the back of it, which means it's got an enormous sole, so I know this thing's going to go really, really high. And I feel like I can hit this pretty much anywhere in the face and it's going to go exactly as I need it to. Right, so expecting this to go high. Oh, Jack. Well, credit to Ping, because that was an absolutely shocking strike and that's still gone okay. So what we've got here is it's basically a metal wood construction, similar to how they build the hybrids. It's hollow. What they've done on this club is they've thinned the face out compared to the previous i-crossover, just to give us some more ball speed. And what they've had to do, because the face is now so thin, is they've put this new material behind the face, which just sort of like dampens that impact, makes it feel like you're hitting an iron, even though you almost are effectively hitting a hybrid. What they have managed to do is increase the MOI on the low and the high face strike. So if you're anything like me and you catch it a bit thin, then you are going to enjoy using this club, probably more than you would the standard 4-iron. Oh, that was it. Wow. So compared to the 4-iron that I hit from the actual set, that's gone so much higher. Like, that will have definitely hit over 100 feet peak height, which is obviously better. I would see this club as more of like a long iron replacement than necessarily like a driving iron, like a tee shot club. You know, the head is so big and it's so deep, sort of like front to back, that it's going to go really, really high. So you're still going to be able to flight it down, but it's going to be, I would think personally, for me, a bit more of a off the fairway club into par 5s and long 4s, just because it's going to go high and I'm going to get it to stop pretty quickly. Hitting that shot there felt like one of those strikes where it's so close to the centre, you almost don't feel the ball is there, which is really nice. What Ping have done this time, actually, is that they've made these clubs non-adjustable. So some of the feedback they've had from tour players is like the adjustable hosel is too thick and almost like doesn't sit right behind the ball for them. The tour players have requested sort of like just the standard hosel, the standard neck. So I actually think it looks quite good, but we are losing a little bit of adjustability there, obviously. So this club does come in the 4, 3 and 2-iron options. So there's still plenty to go at. We just can't obviously adjust the lie angle like we have been able to before. But it does, to balance that off, it does come in the Ping colour code, so that there's 10 different lie angle options you can choose, so you don't need that adjustability really anyway. Oh my God, it's so easy to hit in the air. That was flush as well. It's a bit right. One of my favourite things about the Ping clubs is that if you've had Ping in the past, you can just go and order a set of these clubs using the serial number, and Ping will match the spec up from what you've been fitting to before, and you can pretty much get the exact same spec without having to go do the fitting. Now obviously I recommend you do go do the fitting, because you just don't know how the new sort of loft profiles are going to suit your game. But it's really cool that Ping have got your specs on file and they can just match you up straight away, and you can just get these ordered, which is really cool. Right, one more, then we'll go get some data and just talk through how that goes, just to really see how far they're actually going. Nice. Like that a lot. So we've hit the shots on the launch monitor and we've got some data, so let's just quickly run through that. Now, what I would say is, as a sort of overriding sort of analysis, these aren't the longest irons I've ever hit, but I don't actually think they're designed to be so. So the 8-iron is going plenty high, I'm enjoying the strike, and what I'm saying is I've never hit the ball with so much spin in my life. So the new grooves are obviously working, and I'm hitting shots where I know the ball's going to land and stop, which actually for me, that's what I'm looking for in short irons. I'm not looking for something that goes massively far, but I need it to go the same distance every time, and I need the ball to stop. So I've got an average carry there of 147, which again, it's not massively long, but every single ball is very close together. Moving on to the 6-iron, we're a little bit more at sort of where I would expect a 6-iron to go here, at an average of 174. But again, we're seeing spin numbers which I've just probably not seen from this kind of iron, or really any iron ever. So I'm at 6,000 spin very consistently. I've got good peak height, I've got a really nice descent angle, 123 mile an hour ball speed for a 175 average carry, which is pretty much there for me. Those are the sort of numbers I'm going to see on the golf course. The 4-iron, the 200-yard carry, 132 ball speed, over 4,000 spin. So again, I'm still hitting shots where I know I'm going to be able to get the ball to stop, which is what I like. But then what's really interesting is the Ping IDI driving iron. So What we've seen between the two 4-irons is actually not a massive difference in terms of distance, but an enormous difference in terms of like height and spin. So again, a bit like what I said on the golf course, I don't feel like that 4-iron, particularly for me, is a driving iron. It's much more of like a long iron replacement club, so it's way easier to hit. It goes much higher. The ball's going to stop much quicker, and it's just a much easier club to use. So if you're someone who doesn't like the 4-iron currently and is thinking about replacing it, that IDI is a perfect replacement for you. Massively forgiving, massively high launching, and it sort of gaps really well with the rest of the clubs. So I think Ping have pretty much knocked this out the park. The i240 sort of fit in their lineup absolutely perfectly. They're a good scoring set of irons with a little bit of help, and they're going to sort of capture anywhere from like a 5 handicap up to probably an 18, depending on your ball striking and your swing speed. But what you need to do is go get fit, obviously, go find somewhere where you can hit pretty much every single one of the Ping clubs and just find that perfect spec for you, because you might find that you want a couple of blueprints here, an i240 there, and maybe even a G440 or an IDI at the top end as well. They all blend really well, and there's definitely a set, and give them a try.